Steel toes on the gravel, thermos by the door, kids art on the dashboard, same route as before. Cornfields like a calendar, mile markers as my clock. Lunch in a parking lot, talking weather, talking stock. Middle America logistics, we make the map make sense. Moving every broken box, every big idea in a fence. Names not on the billboard, but we're the ones that get it there. Middle America logistics, we're the backbone in the air. Scanner on my belt loop, barcodes in my dreams, forklifts doing slow dance between the yellow seams. Sign right here, small talk. How's your mom, how's the game? Faces change at every dial, but the handshake feels the same. Middle America logistics, we make the map make sense. Moving every broken box, every big idea in a fence. Names not on the billboard, but we're the ones that get it there. Middle America logistics, we're the backbone in the air. Storm line on the radar, snow dust in my hair. Boss says, can you make it? I'm already halfway there. All these pallets, all these stories, tied down with nylon straps. Somebody's hoe on a trailer, rolling past the county maps. Middle America logistics, we make the map make sense. Moving every broken box, every big idea in a fence. Names not on the billboard, but we're the ones that get it there. Middle America logistics, we're the backbone in the air.
Hello, Sage. This is Cody, or how, wait a minute. Is my name, Cody or Colby? I'm not really sure. So, I will, there in fact, internally, hang on a second, god damn it, I'm trying to, wait a minute. I think your name might be Sully. I don't fucking know what your goddamn real name is. Alright, give me a call back. Wait a minute. Sage. I'm sorry. Please don't record this.
I won't. Here we go. It is Friday. It is Friday, and I'm currently doing I'm not going on TikTok right now. I'll figure the TikTok thing out on like Monday or Tuesday, because I forget to, actually the truth is I forgot to go to TikTok and open it up, so I'll do it next time. Not so much into the TikTok thing anyways, so, and I get about 200 or 300 views on it only. I mean, like I said, I'm just kind of, I guess I need to do it more. I need to do more TikToking. I don't know if that's a thing, but I guess it will be now. But we are back. I have an interesting couple things to show you guys. I know today is definitely going to be something that, if you're not, you're definitely not going to want to miss this, and you're going to want to remember who brought this to you. Who brought this to you? Or then you can say, you know, if it wasn't for that Sage guy on that logistical show, I might not have ever known about this. Let me turn this on real quick. I might not have ever known about this. All right. So that's going to be interesting. So let's see, real quick story of the day before we get started. Of course, I'm doing my research in the morning. And what's it, -4 now? Well, it was -10 this morning. So I think it's, it's 4 degrees now and the sun's just kind of coming up. But I think we're going to have snow coming in. So I'm going to have to go, I don't know, salt the driveway after the show. Of course, we start the fire in the fireplace, and we get the fire up and roaring, and my new Maine Coon kitten decides that she's going to jump on the top of the stove, the wood-burning stove, so in case we rush in here and have to take care of her paws. So not so bad. It wasn't real bad. It burned a little hair, but it didn't get down to actually hurt her, so that was my interesting in my morning real quick, racing out of here with earpiece still in ear, and pulling this cable. But that's all done. She's all better. She's wandering around. Probably be a little slow moving, but it at least didn't burn through any of her pads or anything. So that was the start of the morning. What else do we have going on? Oh, besides the fact that it's been like -10 and I've been on, pipe unfreezing, duty for I don't even know how long. Every morning I have to go down there. I'm going to have to fix that this spring. I'm going to have to fix the pipes. Let's see what else. What else has been going on? Wednesday was a pretty decent show. I did a Wednesday show. Well, I did Tuesday, and then I did Wednesday show. Wednesday was a pretty good show. We had a couple good call-ins, good conversations, and things like that. That was good. I like that. I did still going forward, like I said. I don't see this so much in the trucking aspect when I cover trucking and things like that. But if you're calling in, and basically the call-in is just to the point where there's really no need to have a conversation with you, because I'm just gonna let you go. I'm not interested in having the call-ins with the cult members. I know it's weird, but if you're calling in to, for a discourse or logical debate or logical conversation or a back and forth like that, I'm good to go. But once I kind of start showing you or showing you videos or being like, hey, no, that's not what happened. Here's a video, and you're like, no, that's aliens and Biden's a lizard man. And all that, I'm just like, bye. I'm good. Goodbye. All right. Besides that, we're going to get the party started here a little bit. Like I said, usually Fridays aren't that big of a show. We're going to be doing logistics, but that's cool too, because the logistical people and the trucking guys will start to find the show, and they'll start to kind of head into the show, and we'll get some callers. We're building it here. First thing I do want to cover is Trump's going to sue America for $10 billion. Yeah, just want to make sure I mention that because of an IRS leak in regards to his, IRS forms. So that'd be a $10 billion lawsuit. So when you guys say, hey, where did all that money go from tariffs? Well, there you go. I just want to put that out there. All right. That being said, I am about to show you something, and it was oddly weird because, no, actually, there's two things I want to show you. First thing I want to show you is this. I was the start of this movement. I received no money in any way, but I was the start of this movement. Okay? This started with me, and you all know it. Everyone here that watches this show knows for a fact I started this.
We have some major news right now that not enough people are talking about. The Trump administration is
Now, I was talking about it.
actively running a Russia-Ukraine playbook right now in Canada, openly supporting and helping a group of Alberta separatists trying to secede from Canada.
I told you, I live in pre-Canada. I have succeeded and formed my own country And right now, the Trump administration is trying to get Canadians to succeed. All of you that want to succeed, you can move down here to pre-Canada, which is not Canada nor the U.S., because I've succeeded from both of you.
This is one of the craziest stories you'll know about, and let's talk about it. Because just now, the British Columbia Premier came out and said that it amounts to an act of treason. So there's a group of separatists in the province of Alberta.
Whoa. Hang on. Hold that treason part. I'm not down for the treason part, but let's continue.
They're trying to make Alberta an independent country, to completely secede from Canada. And to do it, they are meeting with Trump administration officials and openly asking for a $500 billion line of credit from the Trump administration, a line of credit that would be funded by you, the taxpayer, to help fund their new country of Alberta. And it's gotten so bad that these Alberta separatists have now openly met with the Trump administration. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, openly champions Alberta separating from Canada.
The Treasury Secretary, Scott, reach out to me, Scott. Reach out to me. I have an area here in Maine we can call pre-Canada, and I can start to pull down some of the people from like Quebec and Canada, and we can bring them down here. We can bring them down here to pre-Canada, which technically wouldn't be Maine. It would be like District of Columbia, Washington. So we can actually, I'm down for $500 billion, guys. For $500 billion, I'm down with it. I already started a movement. Now, it was a lonely soul movement, but it was my movement. All right.
And the British Columbia Premier is saying, well, them meeting with the Trump administration is tantamount to treason. If this reminds
we'll just got to leave that treason part out. Everything else I'm good with.
you of anything, it's exactly what Putin did with the Donbass region in Ukraine, openly supporting them seceding from Ukraine.
See, we have a plan. We just use Putin's plan, and I start pulling down people from Quebec and have them separate into pre-Canada. Pre-Canadish is the name of the... Well, I don't know. We'll figure that out. For $500 billion, I'll figure it out.
Pretty crazy stuff happening right now with U.S. and Canada. Spread the word. Follow for more.
All right. So just wanted to let you know that I started one of those movements with my movement. Now, the second thing I want to show you, once I show you, you can't forget it, okay? Once you find out that this actually exists, it's never going to go away, all right? And you might become a very strong supporter like I have, hoping to open up local competitions in my area. But if you didn't know this exists, you can thank me. If you did know this exists, you make me a little nervous. But if you didn't know this exists, you can thank me, and I will turn the camera on backstage because I do not want my producer not being able to be a part of this. Hey, right here. I got to turn my OBS virtual camera. All right, let me turn my OBS on. Anybody know where I put my OBS button? Okay, because I don't want him to miss this. Did you know that there is a deer calling competition in Germany? I bet you didn't. Because before this, I would have been extremely interested in this. Now, listening to this, I started listening and I couldn't stop. I don't know why. Wasn't even the visual aspect of this, which is also kind of weird. It was just this. You ready? All right, we're going to get into this. Here he comes. First competitor coming up to the microphone in the deer calling championship in Germany. Now, we have lots of deer. I have lots of deer out here. We have been feeding the deer for, I want to say 14 years. Yeah, probably 14 years. I don't know. Close enough. My wife goes out every day. We used to go out. I used to, go out with her. Now she goes out with smaller buckets and stuff, but we feed the deer and the turkeys. And if we don't feed them, they start circling the house, okay? I mean, they literally start wandering around the house, looking in the windows. I'm not joking you. Looking in the windows saying, hey, dumb humans, buffet is not, when did the buffet close? All right? I've been here all morning. You're supposed to have a buffet, and there's no buffet. So if you don't want a riot, of wild animals, you better come out and you better feed us, okay? But never once, ever once on my property have I ever heard the scary sounds that these competitors are about to play. I mean, if I did, I'd be scared. You ready? Now, I hope you're also getting the visual of this. This is competitor number 7 from Germany. Not bad. Not bad. Pretty good. I don't know. I was thinking about cranking up the speakers on this and putting it out the window and seeing how many more deer show up. Now the hat helps. The hat does help. The competitor number 7 with the I don't know if that's a deer. Can't be a deer hunter hat. So it's got to be a deer. Either way. All right, that was competitor number 7. What does this have to do with logistics? That's a good question. Wait to the end of the show and I'll let you know, because I could probably figure something out. This is actually my producer's favorite competition. He watches this after golf on his days off. That's why he won't do the show. He watches reruns of the competition after reruns of The View.
Okay, public service announcement. I was not aware of any of this prior to the show. Just so everyone knows.
I don't think anybody was aware of this prior to the show. All right. I don't know why my viewership's going down. Why do you think I don't care. I don't care about the viewership. This is the deer calling competitions. Hello. All right, we got to get numbered. That was number 7. We got coming up out of that. Who's in the bullpen? Number 12. Competitor number 12 is in the bullpen. Here he comes. Younger guy, kind of in a. Is that a suit jacket? Oh, that's it. He bows. He definitely gives the deer a calling championship bow. That's good. All right. Okay. Call her up to bat. Now, listen, I'm just going to let you know that's a very sad deer. But this, you wouldn't understand this. I guess I'm really middle American. To be completely honest, this would be a middle American type of thing, I would assume. And I'm proud to be a middle American in Germany, because this is actually not even middle American. This is middle Germanian. Middle Germanian. It sounds like an elk, Bert says. I will give 1 point to Bert for distinguishing that it sounds like an elk. Very good. Now, it does say deer, and this was live. This was live on YouTube, because who would want to watch this recorded? You know what I'm saying? Now, for the people that are actually, I don't want to talk about it, watching the event, I don't know if they're watching the event because of the event or because of how the instrument is being used. I don't know how to word that properly. I was number 12. Let's round of applause, number 12. I don't think I have any clapping buttons, but I'll get one, because we're going to have to watch this more often. I thought MAGA would be into this. I don't know. All right, let's see what we got here. I can probably jump ahead a little bit. What we got number 5, competitor number 5. We only watched a few of these because I don't want to give it away. No spoilers on who wins, right? But this is like how long is this thing? About an hour and a half of deer calling competition. About an hour and a half. So we're not going to watch the full hour and a half. That's not my show today, just so you know. What the hell was that? Jesus Christ. He's got a dramatic pause after that one. Definitely a dramatic pause after that one. I'll tell you what, if me and Mark's relationship didn't go awry, there was no way I wouldn't bring this to the Mark show and allowed us to do. You see what I'm saying? But, you know, things go awry, and I don't know what happened after that. Well, I do, but I can't say because I'm too middle American. Yeah. That one had a lot to say. That deer had a lot to say before he stopped. One more here. What we got going on here? It's just so that he's looking around. He's looking around. I mean, half the fun is not knowing if you're up next. Can you beat the last guy? You know what I'm saying? Can you sound more deerish than the last guy?
2 und die 4.
Oh, hang on. Oh, Jesus Christ. You guys wonder what I do when I'm off. I'm telling you, join the Discord. Join the Discord and you'll enjoy much more. Listen. You know, my producer brought this to me because, like I said, he wasn't here 3 days. And I'm like, what the hell have you been doing the whole time? And he's like, wow, you know, we haven't had any work to do, got ice storm type stuff. So I've been catching up on my deer calling competition and stuff. And I'm like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. Have you ever seen it? I'm like, no. Now, I don't know if he does it when he's alone, maybe, when nobody else is around. I don't know. Just thought I'd. Okay, here we go. Competitor number 11. This is our last one, and we're going to move on to some trucking stuff. Whoa. Yeah. That he's getting pissed. I can tell. Listen, I'm not a deer calling professional translator, but that deer, listen to that one. This deer's getting pissed. Must be some other males around, right? I wanted to give you a full effect of that one. All right, that is a part of the deer calling championship. It's the championships now. You've missed the league play, so we've gone right into the championships. So I didn't want to bring. You know, it's best to see the best competitors, right? It's like watching the Super Bowl, right? I mean, some people don't watch the NFL, but they'll watch the Super Bowl. I didn't want to. If I was going to bring this to you, I wanted to make sure I brought this to you. With the best of the best of the best, sure. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want you to kind of be like, well, I don't know. I've seen better. I wanted to make sure that you were a part of it because I want to make sure you watch it going forward. Like, make it a part of your yearly life, right? Okay, now that we've decided pre-Canada and the Deer Championships, we're going to check in with my boy, Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson is a very angry individual in regards to trucking and logistics, and he does a morning TikTok show, which lasts about 30 seconds. So let's hear what he's got to say today.
Forgot to thank our local broker.
Okay.
We'll have to do better tomorrow. Yeah. It's $5.50 even on Pacific Coast.
Now, if you don't know Michael Johnson's kind of a truck driver that I've gone back and forth with. Early on, I tried to educate him in regards to how it works for a freight brokerage and logistics and stuff like that. He did own his own truck. He owns his own truck. It's not on the road. He works a company job right now, which is fine. But I tried to educate him. And that because it wasn't what he wanted to hear, he got very angry. And ended up becoming, verbally abusive and stuff like that and threatening me and all kinds of other stuff. But, knowing me, I still persisted to help him like the person that I am. And then it kind of got to the point where he just went off the rails and lost it. And I watched this because if I ever not see a video, I'll know that I'll probably have to do a welfare check. Because he's not a happy person. Now, he has had a trucking company. And I believe he still owns a truck, and now he's opening up a freight brokerage that says he's gone to customers and they're willing to give them all their freight, but yet he is still attacking freight brokers. So I don't know if that's going well.
I guess we're just gonna have to try again tomorrow.
Okay. Try again tomorrow.
Better yet.
It's tomorrow already. 30 5 seconds later.
We'll do it twice tomorrow to make up for today.
Okay.
We are so sorry for not thanking our local friendly broker
Yes.
for being the best at
Correct.
eating bonbons, laying in their bed, in their pajamas. Well,
I'm not in my bed. Am I in my pajamas? Well, no, not really. I won't talk about what my pajamas are.
taking 40% of the load.
Taking 40%.
Nobody does it better than the broker.
Okay.
We got to send them a bonus to let them know how good they are at it.
Okay. Let's go. Oh, that's just a...
This goes out there to all you Stockholm suffering sons of bitches who've been gaslighted all the way to the bank.
I bet you he'll mention something about the View and bonbons.
Don't forget to thank your local broker. They allow you to exist. Have a great day.
Damn it! I was wrong. Maybe in the next one. Thank your local broker. He does this every day. Freight broker. Okay.
So I promised I was going to do 2. Yeah, it's a little late.
Okay.
But get out there, thank your local broker. Nobody eats bonbons quite like them. And ain't nobody still watching The View except for them.
Yeah.
But get on over to my webpage, and there's a big thing to send an email.
Now, let's go over to his webpage. Let's take Gander's webpage. And this is kind of what I wanted to talk about to the show. Because it's on there. It's ptfca.com. Okay, there it is. Now, remember, what he's trying to do is create a freight brokerage that will go to customers and provide them logistical services to benefit that company for their to move their freight. Either things like providing trucks, or vetting trucks to make sure that they're good carriers, dispatching these trucks, making sure they know when to pick up and load, what the product's going to be, how much the insurance needs to be, all this type stuff. Also possibly providing things like warehousing options, rail options, air freight options, maritime, like shipping options from overseas, cross-docking situations, and things like that, inbound and outbound traffic, being able to schedule inbound and outbound traffic where you have enough, you have open doors, where you know that the stuff is coming in just as some stuff is going out, and staying up to date on all of that. That's kind of what a freight brokerage does, a 3PL, 4PL, 5, all this type stuff. These are the services that we provide to, customers. Could be a manufacturer, could be a warehouse, distribution center, all this stuff. These are the services. And then we also provide accounting services, keeping track of the financials of the logistics, issuing them 1 check a month rather than, 1,000 checks a month, consolidation in that, software to make it easy to get their freight moved and to be able to track their freight and seeing exactly when it's going to deliver. All this type of stuff is kind of what freight brokers and 3PLs and stuff do. Now, if you were to be starting, and this is kind of where we're going to start to going into building your business and any type of business, if you were to be starting a business, I want you to take a look at a website and let me know if this screams logistics specialist. Does this scream logistics specialist? Now, if you can't tell what is actually going on the landing page of the logistics company, we have some type of Armageddon, Chicago fire type situation, maybe, where, all the buildings are on fire, the cars are burning, there's one man standing in the middle of the street, like Armageddon situation. The sky is filled with dark and gray smoke, and you can't see anything. And basically it says, past time for a change, one industry, one voice, one movement. We fight for fairness, transparency, and real change. Hang on, that was in my email. Anything important? No. Check that later. So if you were in business, if you were a customer, and I'm going to go into why this is going to start to become important. If you were to say, I'm going to start a logistics business, a trucking company, a freight brokerage, a 3PL, either as an independent agent or as your own freight brokerage, and you wanted to start a website that basically presents yourself in a professional business atmosphere, do you feel that this world burning down, scorched earth approach would be your first choice? Take your time. Take your time in the chat. I mean, I think it through. I mean, if I had the Jeopardy music, I'd play it, but I don't. Because I'm going to say no, probably not the best choice in regards to starting a business. And this is all important things that you want to do. Definitely when you're in like logistics, is you want to present yourself. The name of your business should be presentable. It should be something easily remembered, and rather than past time for a change. And should be something that kind of, helps you brand something that you're doing. So if I was looking at this and thinking to myself, I don't want this person burning down my business. I don't want them burning down my business. This doesn't say in any way, shape, or form, please ship with me. Okay? Thought I'd put that out there for poor Mikey. But we'll check in. Okay.
On Connor's Law.
Yeah.
Go over there, do that.
Do that.
Yeah. PastimeForAChange.com or PTFAC.com. Either one will get you there. Have a great night.
Have a great night. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you as a Sage Outcast contributor. Sage Outcast contributor. That was a good time right there. Appreciate that. I swear to God, you can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. Okay. Real quick for Mr. Global. I just want to play this real quick, and then we'll dive into the reaction video for today.
So I would like you to consider something for a moment, because,
All right. I want you to put your thinking hats on and think to yourself, because we're all, like I said, we're all trying to be better business people. We're all trying to start a better business, build our trucking empire, understand, where to go with business. So we're going to put our thinking hats on. Let's go.
a lot of people voted for Donald Trump because
True.
he's supposed to be this great businessman, and
Okay.
America should be run like a business. So
All right, we're gonna go with some of the aspects of business and see if this is a good way to run a business. I know it's kind of a weird angle to approach, but is this a good way to run a business, and is America being run like a good business? I'm ready.
question is,
Yeah.
what kind of business is successful when half of the employees of the business hate the other half of the employees of the business?
What type of Question one. What type of successful business is run where half of the employees hate the other half of the employee? Well, the Coast Guard, but we didn't really hate each other. We had snipes and bosun mates, but business where half of the employees hate the other half of the employees. I'm gonna put uncertain. I'm gonna go with uncertain on that one. Well, let's see where the next one is.
What kind of business is successful
Yeah.
when the owner of the business
Yeah.
constantly degrades and threatens and attacks all of the other businesses around the world that they do business with?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, let me think about this. Let me think about this out loud again. So I'm going to rephrase it. Should a business attack and degrade all of the other businesses it works with around the world? Should it degrade them and attack them? I'm going to go with uncertain on that also. I'm going to go with C, uncertain.
What kind of business is successful when the management of the business lies to all of its employees every single day and they all know it?
What type of business is successful if the management lies to their employees every single day and they know it? Businesses lie to their employees sometimes, right? That happens. I get it. Maybe they shouldn't. But how does it work if the employees know they're lying? Are they successful? C again, uncertain.
What kind of business is successful that constantly tries to find new ways to strip employees of said business of their benefits?
That's C, uncertain.
Yeah, there's not one.
I could name one, just not allowed to right now.
Because that's not a thing.
Not really successful, but anyways, okay. No?
Because America's not a business.
Not a business.
It's a community.
Oh.
And until you figure that out, you're going to keep destroying it.
Okay. All right, good. Couple good business points there. Gonna go good bit. We got to get rid of task time for a change. We got to get rid of this, and we are going to cover for the rest of the show. I do appreciate everybody sticking around. I hope I've been a little bit entertaining in a field that is not so much entertaining, and I hope you've gained a little bit more insight to my producer and what he does in his downtime. From earlier in the show. Actually, what I didn't want to let you know is he was actually one of the competitors that took some time off recently to fly out to the championship. But I wasn't supposed to say that part out loud. Sorry. I don't think he's here. If he is, he's screaming at me, muted, backstage on the Discord. Okay. I'm going to talk about a couple things before I play this video here. And I should shoot. I have to do a reaction. I have to hang on, because I've said this before, that it's only right that if I do a reaction video, I tag the... I'll tag him. Doing a reaction video on about your show. Yeah, about your show work. Your video. And then I'm going to go to there they are right there. All right, just in case. It's only fair, it's only polite to tag somebody. In my opinion, if you're going to do reaction videos about other people, just do a community post tagging them. Because that's fair, right? I think it's fair. Okay, before we get started. So, in regards to kind of building your business, I was on the Freight Coach yesterday, and he does like Spotify and all this other stuff too, but he has a YouTube channel. He doesn't get a lot of traction on his YouTube channel, but he has a lot more on Spotify, because his is more like a podcast, 30-minute podcast, stuff like that. And he doesn't do a lot of like video. It's just him kind of talking type thing. So he's definitely more on like Spotify and things like that, Apple or whatever it is. But I think the big thing that we were talking about was there's a lot of individuals now that either might be in a position where they've either want to leave their job, or they've lost their job, or they're looking for more out of their job and they're just not getting it, or they like the industry that they're in, let's say logistics. They're just not getting what they want to do. So they're starting to seek out what you should be doing to basically start either a trucking company or a freight brokerage, or become a freight agent, or things like that. So one of the conversations I had, I've had two conversations, but one of the conversations that I had with a buddy of mine that's also a freight broker agent where I am, but he's up in Canada. Me and him had a conversation about, it started with insurance, like in regards to your address. So when you go to get trucking insurance, what is happening is a lot of people will start their FMCSA, or they will start their business address with what we call a virtual address. Now, a virtual address is basically an address that you pay $24, and then you can kind of claim it as yours. And you can say, yep, this is my address, and technically you're paying $25 a month or something. It all depends on how much you're going to pay. It's some of them are not real, per se, addresses that, you could go to and park a truck and have an office in. Some have, you pay for something that technically you could rent an office out of if you needed to show up. But what happens is, in the trucking world, in the logistical world, you have a bunch of truck carriers that find these virtual addresses, and then all of a sudden you have 100 carriers at one virtual address. Well, there's no way there's 100 trucking companies at one address, right? That's just not a thing. So, one, you can't do that when you file your FMCSA, because when you apply for the FMCSA DOT filing to be a motor carrier, you're required to have an address that if the FMCSA officer wanted to show up and inspect your paperwork has to be there and you have to be able to meet him there, right? You don't have to be there, 24/7. Doesn't have to be your home. It could be, but it doesn't have to be, right? But if he says, hey, I'm going to be there Friday the 30th at 1 o'clock, you have to have all your paperwork there, and you have to be able to be there to go over the paperwork with him. So one of the ways that we're trying to get rid of fraud and scam and things like that is get rid of that access to that, having virtual addresses and stuff like that, and having actual physical addresses. That's one of the things that the FMCSA is doing. And they also verify this information pretty simply, to be honest. We can check if something's a virtual address with AI tools or just Googling it, Google Maps. When I run insurance quotes, one of the things that insurance companies are also doing when I put the address in and I start to go through the process is like I had last week, a screen will pop up and it will say, hey, there's another DOT at this address. And they will say, is this the DOT for the company you're trying to insure? And I either have to click skip or no. And if I click either one, skip or no, because it's not the DOT, it's somebody else's DOT, they will basically stop me from quoting that insurance. I can no longer quote that insurance. It will kick me out and say, sorry, not eligible. And you're no longer eligible for me to even quote your insurance. So one of the conversations, or one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about, make sure I brought to your attention, and I'm not going to turn the phones on right now, but I will, because I've had 2 people call in, but they're not on right now. And they might have been calling in for the championships. They might have been calling in for that section, because I didn't really check the time, and I'll go back and check the time. Either way, one of the things that you're going to want to think about is the address in which you're going to use for your FMCSA filing and your insurance if you're going to be starting a trucking company. Also, the address you're going to be using if you're going to be starting a freight brokerage, right? What address? Now, obviously, let's say you're starting a trucking company and you're renting your home, you're renting an apartment, or you're renting something, at that time, that could be your address in regards to where you have your business. But be advised that if your rent goes up and you decide to move, then you have to be aware that you're going to have to change your address both on your FMCSA filing and your insurance for your trucking company. And the reason I bring this up is a lot of people might not think about how important that address is for your business and in your insurance. Right? Like if you were to say, well, I'm here in Maine, pre-Canada. I'm here in pre-Canada. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, Trump? I can bring everybody down to pre-Canada. Send me the money. You're going to want to secure that for your filing. But if something were to change where next thing you know, you're not even at the same address, but you might not even be in the same state. That is going to possibly change how much your insurance could technically cost. So these are things to think about when you start a business nowadays is if you're going to have an office, how much is that office rent going to be? What happens if that rent goes up? If you're going to have a home office, is it a place that you're buying the home, or is it a place that you're just renting? And is it something where rent might be going up in a year and you're changing? These are all important factors when starting a business because, if invoices are sent to addresses or for a freight broker, COIs and stuff like that are sent to you, that address changes could be an issue, right? And I know it's a simple thing, but it's not a big deal. It's not, but I don't think it's something that people think about a lot. One of the most important things for trucking companies is your garaging address, where you garage the vehicle. You might garage the vehicle one place, and you're like, oh, this is great. I got a great insurance quote, $10,000. I think I just sent someone $10,000 for the year. It's great. And next thing you know, that's fantastic. But then because you can park the truck like it's a hot shot, and you can park the truck at the place you rent, But then the next place, with the truck and the trailer, but the next place you go to, you can park the truck there, but there's no room for the trailer because it's an apartment building. And now you've got to find a new place to garage your truck because you can't just leave the same garaging address if you're not garaging it there. So now you might pay, instead of paying $10,000, you're paying $20,000. So these are kind of things that you want to think about before starting a business so that you are planning ahead. Sorry about that. You're planning ahead. I should be hitting the cough button. But that was something that popped up, like I said, in regards to getting quotes for insurance. If you start to if you're going to get an insurance quote for trucking and you have a virtual address as your business address and there's 17 carriers all at that address, or 100 different carriers, or 1,000 different carriers at that address, when that agent starts to goes through the steps in regard to getting you a quote, it's going to kick them out. And once it kicks them out, they're going to be like, sorry, you're not eligible. And it's going to be very difficult because now you're going to have to find another address, and we're going to have to do a bunch of, that you can use for your business address and things like that. So just be advised when you go to start your quote and start your business, using a virtual address in the logistics field ain't going to work, especially not from the trucking aspect of it. Freight brokerage is a little different, but from the trucking aspect of it, where an FMCSA officer has to be able to show up and where the paperwork has to be stored, and you have to be able to be there when they make the appointment, that has to be done. Okay. A little public service announcement on behalf of the Sage Outcast Logistics Show. I know. You guys all want to go back to the deer calling championship, but I have to move on. So this is Freight 360, and these guys are freight brokers. One of them's from Buffalo, New York, where I'm from, and I think he's from. I'm from South Buffalo. That's originally where I'm from. I don't think he's from South Buffalo. I think he's from like West Seneca or Orchard Park. Just so you know, I think. But we're going to talk a little bit about what they're kind of going on prospecting with new shippers, new customers, bringing that out. And this kind of goes a lot with trucking and logistical people. So one of the things that makes it very difficult for a freight broker, why some freight brokers or logistical companies basically makes it hard for them. They're not just sitting eating bonbons and watching reruns of The View. They're trying to continually grow their company, right? Continually growing their company means that they're not just going to have one customer where all of their, money and all of their income is based on one customer that technically I could have today and lose tomorrow. They are continuing to find new customers that they can bring value to and be able to win that business, right? Jesus Christ! Did you miss another? Well, he's not another producer to the producer just showed up. Truck Diver, did you miss the deer calling championships?
Unfortunately, I did. I think I was sorting my socks and my underwear drawer out. So I did. But I got a good excuse.
Do I need to replay it?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
No, okay. We'll do that in the Discord later. I don't want to. If we get down that road again, I'm never going to be able to leave the championships because everybody's going to want me to keep playing it. We can't. I got to move on. So one of the things with customers is it's very difficult to get into a customer that already has a 3PL or service provider that is, already servicing that customer. So you have to find a way to get an opportunity to be able to get into that customer and kind of win their business. So these guys, I didn't really watch this, but I thought it was a good topic I was going to talk about anyways, because I think a lot of new people come into the trucking industry. They get a truck, they get insurance, they get their DOT, they get all the stuff that they need, not so much in that order. And then they get on the load board and they just think, okay, we're done here. I'm good to go. And you're not really good to go. Your job is to grow the company, and you're probably going to want to learn how to get new customers. Let me see if I can play. Oh, Jesus Christ, don't start playing the deer count. Okay.
So just really go through a lot of the basic tips on how to get yourself over that hump, to find the right leads, what to say, questions to ask, what to avoid, and things like that. So we're going to have a great prospecting episode today for all the listeners out there.
Okay.
If you're brand new to us, you caught us out a great one, check out.
And these guys aren't bad guys. They're pretty knowledgeable. I'm not attacking them in any way. I might disagree with them on some stuff. I might agree with them on stuff. I might just be adding some stuff on this. Now, do they like me? Well, nobody really likes me, to be completely honest, which is probably for the best sometimes. Because I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't fall into the echo chambers. So I'm not just going to agree to agree. And most of the people in the logistics field would just want me to agree. And I'm not good at that. I mean, look, some people watch the deer calling championships and some people don't. There's just two different people in the world, right? Deer calling championship people and non-deer calling championship people. I am now a deer calling championship person. So we just can't all get along, but we try.
All the other content in our back library or back catalog, whatever it's called, freight360.net, and on our YouTube channel. You'll find the Freight Broker Basics course there. If you're looking for a training option, share it with your friends, all the good things, like, subscribe. And if you're looking for
Yes, do me a favor, hit the like button if you please, even if you didn't like the championship. If you hit the like button, I'll never play the championship again. And if you hit the like button, I will start every episode with the deer championship, calling championship. Either way.
a new TMS. This episode is brought to you by...
Hit the like button more than once.
You can hit it 3 times to be completely total. If you hit 3 times, so if you hit it and it goes on, you hit it goes off, you hit it goes on again, that actually means it went off twice. So that went down twice. So it's better to hit the like button 3 times, and we're good to go.
TMS, it is the get started for free, 90 days for free. So Ben,
yes and no. Like, I mean, yes, the first
apparently like the ice and snowstorm that most of the country hit.
Yes and no. Like, I mean, yeah.
They're gonna talk about the weather. We're gonna go through the weather here, guys.
But we'll use a bit here for freight. But like this was a big one, and it impacted a lot.
Hang on. I know I should have had this better keyed up. I did, but I lost it.
Receiver, the things that we told them, they just blindly were like, driver could have made it, but didn't.
All right, hang on.
Lets them know at the very least as soon as humanly possible. And to your point, like, I mean, it's that it never gets. One of the dispatchers is either going to forget or get busy.
Yeah.
Or maybe just not pay attention to it. It gets lost and it never gets to the person that matters. So like, I've always just made sure those phone calls and someone actually speaks to the driver, confirms them, and lets them know at the very least as soon as humanly possible. And to your point, like, I mean, it's 2 sides to the same coin, right? Like, if a driver is on the way somewhere,
Justin might never talk to me again because I relinquished his secret of his love for the deer calling championships. So he left. He just left. He might come back, but he might never talk to me again. It was supposed to be a secret.
And there's a storm in between where they pick up and deliver and the driver can't make it, like, that happens. It's an act of God. No one's going to yell at the driver. Like, maybe some like unethical people or just really rude people may. I'm sure that happens from time to time. But like, usually the receiver will work with that driver to take them when they can get there because they can't control the weather, right?
Yeah. So one of the things too that I did, and this is a good point too in regards to logistics. One of the things that I did, I tell the drivers when you load my freight is, if you can't get there, you don't feel safe to get there, just don't get there. Just shut down and call me. Let me know. I'll update the receiver. It's act of God. If it's bad weather, please don't push it in any way, shape, or form. Please, there are no appointments, to be honest, in regards to weather. Anything can be pushed out. So let me know. I'll let the receiver, I'll let the shipper know, and things like that. But that's something that you definitely, as a logistics provider, as a trucker, you want to let me know. You want to let the freight broker know or your direct customer know. And then as a logistics provider, you need to be letting your shipper know. And you need to be the person instructing them of that. Remember, the shipper builds things. The manufacturer builds things. You're in logistics. They're not. So you have to be able to teach and express, what the rules and regulations are and, the safety aspect of things for stuff like that.
Right? Or an accident or any of those things, right? Well, the same thing happens at receivers too, right? Like, hey, I know you're on your way there, but guess what? Like, they're expecting 1.5 feet of snow in the next 5 hours, so they need their employees to be safe and to get home. So like, we've got to now work with them. Like, if we all just cooperate, all this stuff gets a little easier, and there's always a way through it, as long as everybody knows what's going on. I think that's like the biggest takeaway in situations like this.
That's true.
Yeah, agreed. I like how you said we're in the communication and people business, because like so much of all of these issues that we deal with comes down to just, or like, when they come up, a lot of it's preventable. Had you communicated properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the big things that you want to know going into prospecting customers is communication is monstrous. They want to know what's going on. Businesses don't like blind spots. They don't like surprises. You have to eliminate the blind spots for them. And blind spots are when's the truck going to be there? When's the truck going to deliver? Is everything on schedule? Because a lot of these businesses are ordering when they need it, and not being on schedule could slow their business down and have people standing around doing nothing. So a selling point, and this is why opening up a brokerage is way harder now. Well, it's both easier and harder. But if you're able to afford the technology like tracking apps and stuff like that, that's great. If not, you're going to have to be calling. But I try not to call my drivers, to be honest. Like, it's their job to kind of call me, but I don't want to be bothering them. So for me, because my guys are pulling like overdimensional freight, like they're handling wide, they're listening to the CB radio and their pilot cars. I was just notified. I wasn't notified. I was talking to somebody about this type of stuff and presenting. I was in a meeting and presenting this to him, who's not in trucking, who's not in overdimensional freight, and I kept using the term escorts. Well, they have to hire these escorts, and like, you pay for them to hire escort? No, let me rephrase that. Pilot cars, and I had to explain that. So they're not really hiring, well, they might be hiring escorts, but we have a different terminology for those, and they are a reptile-ish type thing in a truck stop. But we won't go down that road. Shut up, truck driver.
Commercial company.
Of course, that's better. You weren't listening. You know what I can hear? You guys can't hear this, but when truck driver opened up his mic right there, I heard the deer championships in playing in the background. You guys probably couldn't hear that, but I wouldn't lie about something like that. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't lie about something like that.
What's going on?
Yeah, he's the producer that took time off to go to the deer calling championships.
Oh, you heard that? Sorry, I thought you.
Nobody asked you, Justin.
Oh God.
Did C.H. Robinson lay off like 100 people remote?
I didn't see that.
I thought I saw that somewhere. I don't know. The big company recent one is the R&R family of companies. I didn't realize how many companies they owned. There's a lot. Like 5.
Yeah, there was an R&R Logistics that owned it. Like, I want to say like 15 other companies, and they basically shut down. So
5 or 6, because we've had like an instance this month. These are people that we've known. So like one of our guys, the R&R company, so he lose your job if they shutting it down. They're like,
oh, hang on. Let me open up the phones for everybody but Justin and Truck Diver. Wouldn't answer their calls anyways. Let me open the phone just in case you have trucking-related questions.
His number, 856-600-4654, Sage Outcast.
All right, I'm going to edit that, too, and shorten that.
we don't know. They're not paying carriers. And they're like, can we come work for you at Pearson? We're like, yeah. Like,
God damn it. Hang on.
Over. So a lot of opportunity there if you want to look at it that way.
Okay.
If you're in the growing your came down to.
Okay, that's better.
I mean, what does it always come down to? Mismanagement of funds? Yeah, debt. Exactly. So, and I think they're expecting, I don't know if it was announced that they were expected to basically file bankruptcy, which even if it's I forget what chapter is where you just kind of reorg, it's going to shake a lot of things up. So.
Yeah, a lot of customers up for grabs. Lots of loads that someone was moving that they can't move anymore that are all up for grabs for.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that people also need to realize is that when these companies go down, when a logistics company goes down, there a lot of customers kind of get thrown into the loop, and they now don't have a service provider. So that's a good way to start being out there and starting to put getting. Either sending emails or making calls or reaching out or showing up, all depends on, where you're at, to try to solve their problems. Like if you wanted to any type of customer base in any business, you want to solve their problem. I have a problem. What? I hate mowing the lawn and I have grass that grows. Here's my problem. So you have a lawnmower and you show up and say, well, you like mowing the lawn. And you're willing to mow that grass that keeps growing, goddamn that grass, and you'll do it for this. But if you want this done, you'll do it for this price. You're solving my problem. I have a problem, right? So a lot of time in logistics and trucking, there's nothing but problems. So one of the problem is your problem is the company that you were working with just went out of business. So you're looking for somebody new, and that's kind of one of the things you can jump on.
Prospecting, which we're going to dig into today, right?
Yep.
Things are always changing. Things are always shifting. Some things are better. Some things are worse. But as long as they're changing, there's an opportunity to go grab a new customer, grab a new lane, grab another carrier, and to be able to expand whatever you're doing.
Yeah. So let me set the stage here, and I'm going to kind of let you run with it.
All right.
We were talking about this off air beforehand, but one of the things I do a lot with the agents that work for our company is those that want it, I will, we'll do some just kind of general business meeting, and you talk through what their goals are, kind of how they're performing, what their tactics are, and try to give a second perspective. And a second opinion on what they're doing, because maybe they're missing something, right? Maybe they're like, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong, but I'm struggling to grow and to get new business, and because they're operating in their little tunnel, right? Whereas if you're a team leader or a manager, director, whatever, you've got a whole slew of folks underneath you on the team that you've got your own experience plus your interaction with everybody else to kind of get the overall sense of where things are going and what's working and what's not. To then,
okay, that's a good point too. He brings up. That's a good point. He brings up, and this is something a lot of people don't think of. Everyone doesn't do the same thing and approach customers the same way and talk the same way, and they're all right. You have different types of salespeople out there, right? There are some people that will go out and they just want to, unalive it all. Like they'll go after all the speed, next, and they're just customer, next customer, and they're just out there doing it. There's some salespeople that try to, pick specific customers and work them for a long period of time and snipe them away when the opportunity is right. But if you have to kind of determine which approach you want to make and start to master that approach. I normally say based on the type of person you are, right? And then you have to figure out, okay, the type of person, like I'm somebody that wants to build a relationship. I want to bring, my company's business statement is value through knowledge. I want to bring you value through my knowledge of the industry. So my approach is an educational approach to the customer, making sure that they understand exactly what's happening on the logistical side, why it happens, when it can happen. And that works for me because I'm in the overdimensional aspect of logistics. Same as my sales approach is the same thing when it comes to insurance. Because I have all this other knowledge in trucking and freight brokering and a carrier and I have my CDL, when I talk to potential carriers about insurance, I can explain, things that they may not understand or might have been confusing or they just didn't care about. A lot of times people don't care about insurance until everything goes awry. They just know that it costs them this money, but they don't know what's being covered, what's not being covered, what other avenues they can go down, what other ways we can, get them discounts on their insurance, what can benefit them. Does anybody in the company have a safety certification? Who's your safety manager? What type of safety meetings are you having? Things like that will then make underwriters more comfortable in regards to insuring different things. Like they don't understand this, right? So my approach is value through knowledge. So when you start to basically decide how, what type of salesperson am I going to be when I go out and try to get customers? Because like it or not, if you're in business, you're in sales. You're in sales. You've got to sell your business to someone else. So anybody that sells, salesmen are just scumbags of the earth. Every single business owner was a salesman. Every single one. They started a business and had to sell their services to someone else. So when people say salesmen are shitbags, salesmen are scumbags, salesmen are the lowlifes of the earth, guess what? Every businessman, the company that you are working with for right now, whoever that is, whoever started that company, started it and then sold services to someone. Okay? And people don't grasp that sometimes until I say it to them. Right? Because you are a business owner. Well, yeah, I want to start a business, but I hate sales. Well, then who's going to do your sales? You're starting a business for what? Well, I want to start a trucking business. Okay, what do you think a trucking business is? Oh, haul freight. Well, how do you get that freight? You sell your services to someone else. You make yourself sound better than the guy next to you. I know it's crazy, and I know a lot of you would be, oh, yeah, it makes sense. Right? Who doesn't think that? Lots of people hate sales, hate salesmen, and then start sole proprietor businesses or single-member LLCs. Well, who's your salesman? Who's going to present your company in the best eye that you will win money from someone else? Oh, me? And you hate sales, and you hate salesmen. Yeah. How does that going to go? How does that work? So your best businesses start with a good salesperson, a good sales pitch, an idea. First thing they think to themselves, is there a need for this? Yes. Is it a need that I can be profitable? Well, yeah. Okay. Then all I have to do is start the business and find the people who are in need for this business and sell them my business over the other guy's business. I know. It's crazy. It's crazy talk right there.
share that with an individual. So this guy, I forget where he had worked previously, but he had started in brokerage, kind of like in the COVID heyday when it was just like, it was almost like the Wild West, right? Where you could just pick up the phone and just about any customer would talk to you because they were all having issues securing truck capacity. And they're basically like the way the conversation.
And phones are on. Phones are on if you have any questions. Trucking related, logistic related questions.
His number, 856-600-4654. See?
That's me. That's me.
Was like, if you can get me a truck, this load's yours.
Ring, ring.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Ring, ring. Who's calling? Yes.
This is Truck Driver.
Ah, hi, Truck Driver. Truck Driver who? Is this a knock-knock joke? What is this?
No, I was just going to say, when I had my authority,
Yeah.
You were talking about sales.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I would, towards the end there, I only worked with brokers, and I had a few customers, and they all told me,
Yeah.
the reason I got their business, I didn't even sell. I didn't even ask for the business. It was because I presented myself in a professional manner, whether it was my vocabulary, the way I talked, enunciated my words, the way I dressed, the way I knew about the business, the way I kept my truck clean. And first impressions too.
Yeah.
If you make a first impression with a shipper and you go in there a couple times more, before you know, there was one it was Freeman Boat Works, and I took fuel tanks into Freeman Boat Works, and these were $2-3 million offshore boats, and they were asking me to do some work. I had to get a hot shot, but I wasn't interested in it. But it was because of the way I presented myself. That's huge.
That's a good point too. That's a good point. So that was kind of your sales technique then. Your starting sales technique. Would you say that, or is that? Your technique was to present yourself.
Like I say, I wasn't even looking for shippers or receivers of my own customers, because I was working with brokers and, getting repeat calls from brokers. So I was busy with that. But you go to a shipper maybe 2, 3, 4 times, and you keep presenting yourself in a professional manner.
Yeah.
And, express some knowledge of the business, and pretty soon they're asking you, hey, we got some freight going here, going there. Would you be interested in doing it more?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's all on how you present yourself.
That's good too. That's a good point too. But that value through knowledge worked for you too, though. You brought them value because of the knowledge you had. Hey, so how did you get in with the brokers? Like with the brokers, how did you sell yourself to brokers?
I would just start. I started on the load board, but like I said, it wasn't long before I had my own brokers, and they would call me. To this day, it's been 6 years. To this day, they still email asking if I got back my own authority and stuff. But again, it's when you call up a broker, hey man, what about this load going here? And that's that first impression thing. I always called up and I stated my name, my business name, and what load I was interested in. And if there were reference numbers, give them the reference number. If you made that broker's job easy, you could get that load, and you could usually get it for your price. But if you made his job hard, what load are you calling about? I was asking about this load from here to there. Well, I've got 10 loads from here to there. Which one? If you made his job hard, you weren't going to get that load. Matter of fact, with some of the best relationships I had was one of the worst named brokers in the business, TQL. TQL kept me busy a lot.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. And did you ever have a problem with payment or anything else? Or you did you did their job, you did your job, they did their job, correct?
Never had a problem with TQL, and I usually got the money that I asked for with TQL.
That's a good point. He brings up a great point too. That in regards to sales, sometimes it's just presentability is your selling point.
Yeah.
Boom. Nailed
it's that easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I try not to agree with him at all, to be completely honest. But I agree with that.
That's all I got. I'm getting back to the Deer Calk Championship.
Am I right there? Like that is what it sounded like. The issue was now you're talking to drivers who want $5 a mile, and they're falling out because someone else is offering them more, and it was just nuts, right? So, but overall, when he had started and got his first couple of customers, that's what the experience was like. Then he took some time off. I think he had like a non-compete, non-solicit, something like that. Comes back in with us last year, and has just really struggled to get business revamped. And I had to like take a minute and just kind of explain the reality of the market now versus how things were, years previous, right? Where what a lot of companies have done, and this, depending on when you're prospecting, when you're listening to this episode, this could apply to you, or it could be a different variation of a market cycle. But what a lot of customers did after, the COVID craze is like, they're like, someone's like, guys, we have 700 transportation vendors right now. We need to trim this down, right? We can't have this many brokers and carriers that we're, having as payables and trying to, track different accounts and whatnot. And a lot of them went through and they refined it down. Like, who are our base, our trusted asset-based carriers? Who are the couple of brokers that we're going to have for our spot loads and, business that we didn't expect, et cetera. So you might go in there and say like, hey, call your buddy Jim at ABC Lumber. You're like, hey, Jim, I'm over at, XYZ Logistics now. Let's get set up. And he's like, let's go. And then he goes to his procurement team or whatever, transportation department, and they're like, yeah, we're not adding anybody new right now. We're still trying to trim it down. So, this guy, he's got like three of his big customers he was excited about. And he's like, I just can't get on board with them. And I'm like, well, what else have you been prospecting? And that's when he's like, I don't even know what to prospect because I haven't had to in so long. So, we had a really good.
Yeah. I mean, that can be tough too. Like I haven't had to prospect in a long time. And I've decided, well, for me, it's been a little bit different because, I've also decided I wanted to go a different route also, and that was with the insurance aspect too, and then use everything I've learned from trucking and logistics and freight brokering to continue on to maximize my ability in insurance sales and education in insurance sales because that benefits me. That gives me some skills that other insurance agents don't have, which gives me value. That brings value that when I'm starting to do stuff, I have knowledge that other trucking insurance agents don't have, so that helps me in my sales calls. Yeah, that kind of works.
Conversation about it, but I kind of wanted to set the stage with that because you get a lot of people that you're either brand new and you got to build up from nothing, or maybe you lost a customer, or you're starting to lose business from some of your customers, and you're like, I got to get back in the saddle here. And I'll preface with, you should always be prospecting, right? That should be a pivotal part of your business. But
true, that is true. You should always technically be prospecting. So, and this is something I talked about on the Freight Coach show, but he only does 30 minutes. Which is crazy. Like, who does 3 minutes? You should, once you become efficient at a customer, once you know their system, you get it down, you know how it works, you know how they want to receive their emails, how they want to receive their quotes, how they want to receive their updates. Once you establish all of that and you're basically efficient with, and it's working well, there's always going to be problems. You know what I mean? There's always going to be things that come up. But once you establish the system in play in regards to how that customer wants, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to work around them, right? I mean, they might say, well, how are you doing your system? But you're still going to have to work around their needs and stuff like that because you don't want to change them. You want to kind of adapt to them. That's the quickest way to do it. You should be prospecting for another customer at that point. Somehow prospecting for another customer. Doesn't have to be big, but you should be prospecting for another customer.
We're going to talk through some real-world tactical tips, techniques, what to do, what not to do, what to say, how to avoid certain objections, etc. But what do you got for us, Ben?
Well, I'm going to start where you kind of like brought us to, which is there's always expansion and contraction, meaning things get bigger and smaller. So like, let's just look at the number of vendors or brokers at a shipper, which we are one of those people, right? Yep. And prospecting is, I don't know you, and I've got to get you to know you, like me, and trust me in order for you to add me to that list of vendors.
Bingo. I've got to get that. And this is where when we listen to Pastime for a Change, right in his video, you're not going to like him, right? You're not going to like him. Because he comes, just by the way he's doing videos, you're not going to like the guy. When you look at his website, that is nothing but a ball of fire and buildings burning and cars burning, that you're not going to like it, right? It doesn't present, hey, I like this. It presents, anxiety and things like that in regards to buildings burning and stuff like that. That's not likable. Sometimes I'm not likable, but I've already been told that. So sometimes it's hard for me to get in the door, but once I get in the door, they never want to let me go, which is good. So that's my approach to try, because I'm going to be blunt, and I'm going to try to be honest with you, because I don't want to set you up for failure. But I can at least explain and back up the reasoning why my price is my price, or the reasons is the reasons, and things like that.
So the first thing to understand is like that changes, and it changes based on the ability, ease, and price of getting a truck to move your freight. Okay. So if there's not enough trucks to move the amount of loads you need moved in any city or in a whole country, then shippers are more likely to add more brokers because they just can't get their stuff moved.
Right. Okay, so when let's say pricing is now going up a little bit. Some of the market is consolidating. We're not getting more volume. We're losing capacity. Okay, so you kind of have to understand that, which is good. So know this in your head. We are not gaining volume. We're losing capacity. So in your mind, you have to know that what's going on, because shippers are going to come to you and say, well, I was just paying $5,000 for this. Now you want to pay $6,000 for this? Why would I pay more money for this? We're not getting any busier. Because remember, they're not getting any busier. Because if they were getting busier, let's say they were putting out 1,000 widgets, and now they're putting out 1,500 widgets. They are getting busier. They can see that the economy is picking up, and it's easier for them to process in their brain, Well, it's going to probably be more expensive because, Jesus Christ, we're getting busier, so other people are getting busier. So I can see that, things are getting busier, we can pay more money. But if they're not getting busier, they're going to say to themselves, why would I pay more money? We're not getting any busier. We're not getting any more money coming in. How can I afford to do this? Well, and you have to be able to translate to them or relate to them. Well, the issue isn't that volumes are picking up in freight and in trucking. The issue is that capacity, the amount of trucks that are out there is dropping. Okay? And they're either dropping because of things like, well, they're just going out of business. Tariffs. Maybe the trucking companies did a lot of drayage, and then the ports are down or whatever. Tariffs brought a freight recession in 2018, and now it's doing the same thing now. It's going to be also the capacity in non-English speaking drivers, the push in regards to immigration and stuff like that. More freight brokers are requiring English speaking drivers. More insurance companies are not doing non-domiciled CDL licenses. More companies are not doing it, things like that. So the capacity's coming down. This is something they're not going to know. They're not going to understand because they don't see it because they're not getting busier. Okay? So that's something that you can now get into a customer when that customer is starting to see other brokerages, because now you can explain that to them, and now you're bringing some more knowledge to them and making them smarter. Because remember, a lot of the times the person that you're working with is going to be a traffic manager. A traffic manager is going to have to explain to the financial officer, the CFO or the CEO, why it's costing more money. And if their answer is, oh, they're doomed. So you want to give them knowledge so that they can go and say, well, here's why it's costing more money. And then they can sound smarter and more professional and more knowledgeable about their job, even though they might not have known. You now help them look better at their job. And if you want to get freight from somebody, you make the traffic manager look good to their bosses, you're in like Flynn.
I've sold Nate a truckload of basketball.
Sometimes I actually sound like I know what I'm talking about, right, truck driver? Sometimes I actually...
Sometimes. But I was going to say,
yeah.
It's easier. It's kind of tough to go into either a broker or a customer and ask for more money right off the bat.
True.
It's easier to ask more money once you have a proven good track record. Now, it doesn't always work, but once you get a good track record, like you said, solve the problems, make that guy look good, it's easier to get more money.
True.
It's easier to get more money then.
Yeah, it's easier to get more money. I like the ring thing. So if you want to jump in, you can do the ring thing. I like the knock joke. That was good too. So yeah, you feel free to jump in. So one of he's correct. He's correct in that. But a lot of times you might be able to go in and say, well, we used to cover this for $5,000, and then now nobody can get this lane. Now you might have to go in there and say, well, I can kind of explain why, and I might not be at the 5,000, but at least I can explain that it's gonna. You might be 5,500 to move it now. But let me see what I can do. And if you come back at 52 or 53, it's more money than they were paying, but at least now you're getting it covered, and you came up with the reason why it's going to be a little bit more money. That can be an approach, right? Rather than just say, I want more money. I need more money. Why? Well, the reason that we're needing a little bit more money on this lane is capacity is dropping, although volume's staying the same. We're losing, so trucks are tightening up, which makes it where it's harder for us to get them to pull this load when there's other opportunities or the other loads that they can pull that are paying a little bit more money or put them into a better area or are presented on a better time frame. So the first thing we want to do is try to see, can we optimize the load? Let's say they wanted to ship it on a Wednesday, but it doesn't deliver till a Monday, and then you're going to be sitting on it. Well, is it possible we can ship it on Friday and deliver on Monday? That way we're not sitting on it as long. That might bring a better opportunity to a carrier to be able to do it for the $5,000 price. Can we ship it on a Monday and deliver it on a Wednesday? That might bring a better opportunity to stay at your price that you're looking at. And possibly, if we can, depending on how much time I got, I might be able to move for a little less if you can work with me in regards to when we ship completely. Like if it can go next week, Monday, I have a carrier that can do it for 48, if that's an option. So you want to put the ball into their court. You want to give them the ball. They're holding the ball. And if that doesn't work, say, look, I watched a deer calling championships. Now that may or may not go well, but either way, it's an option.
balls, and I can't get a truck to pick this up for the past 3 days. Nate's yelling at me. My broker can't get me a truck. So somebody calls me, dude, you get me a truck today. The load's yours. Nate needs the basketballs. That's why during COVID, it was much easier to call somebody, get onboarded, and get a load. Because if they can't move it, anybody that can move it gets the green light. You can do that in one phone call, right? If you've got the truck or the capacity.
Now, that's the big thing is you have to have the truck. So one of the most important things you have to do in regards to freight brokerage is build a network of carriers. Build a network of carriers. One of the most important things you want to do with a trucking company is start calling customers that you could possibly get to quickly. Maybe you're in Houston, Texas. Maybe start Houston, Texas area. So where you can say, well, I'll be home tomorrow. I can grab it the next day because that's your terminal. That is your radius that you're working out of. So it's easy for you to get there quickly if you needed to.
Well, post-COVID, what happens is there was a lot of trucks and lots of people entered the market to move freight because there was a lot of money to be made. And then there was more trucks than there were loads to move every day. So rates come down. Well, the other thing that happens to understand what it looks like from the person you're calling to get onboarded with is their accounting department, right? Yeah. Just keep it simple. The people that literally write checks and pay bills, they're like, okay, I would rather not write checks to 50 different brokers every month because I got to reconcile that, make sure the number's accurate. I have to pay money to actually send money to another person, whether it's fees, ACH funds, and there's just more work for me.
Correct. Now, that's another thing you guys want to be aware of. So one of the things that you need to understand when you're trying to get other customers is how the system works on their end. How business works, not just on your end, but how does business work on their end? So if they're cutting 50, 100,000 checks or whatever, not 100,000, but 1,000, they have to hire accountants to do that. They have to hire a bookkeeper or something like that to cut these checks. It costs money for these checks to go out. And that's why, like, a lot of times, we just did it. They used to be paid once a week. Businesses used to be paid once a week. Well, it used to cost money to pay people. Like, you'd have to go to your payroll company and they would charge you money to pay your employees. So if you were paying that on a weekly basis, those fees add up. And then we moved into a biweekly basis because they were saving money by paying businesses every 2 weeks, right? And I mean, there's some people that are paid one time a month, I guess. But that saves the company money, okay? And you might think to yourself, yeah, but how much? It adds up. It adds up. When you're paying moving 1,000 loads a week, right? It adds up if you're using 100 loads a week over 12 months. This is money that businesses will find ways to be efficient, profitable, and save money. They will. So one aspect is that you have to understand that customer is looking to they don't want it to cost more money to do it your way. They want it to cost them less money. They want to save money. If by hiring you, it's going to cost them more money just to pay you, you're out. So these are the things that you also want to understand is not just how your business functions, but how other business function and why they do some of the things they do.
So companies have an inherent, already there incentive to have the smallest number of vendors while retaining good pricing and good service. They don't want any more than they need.
I want to emphasize that. Because here's the reality is that there's a sweet spot, right? Yeah. They want to have as little as possible to avoid all of the administrative stress of having too many vendors.
True.
But they want to have enough that they don't have a single point of failure. Where
True.
If one guy screws up or whatever, they've got a small bullpen.
So I don't want to go on a huge tangent, but this is also why, if you are a 1 or 2 trucking company, you're not likely to get onboarded directly with a very large shipper.
It's going to be very difficult. Oh, I'm going to do the, hang on.
100, they're the
limit some
and 100.
They are not my sponsors. They're their sponsors. If you're looking to sponsor, you're welcome to reach out to me at sageoutcast.com. I would gladly be a sponsor of, I'll have to look and see what this thing is because it needs to be beneficial to the industry. To be honest, I won't. Or if you're a manufacturer of deer calls, I will 100% sponsor that.
100,000 carriers because one broker can get them lots of capacity. And
Jenny's backstage. She did not see the deer call championship. But I will show her, make sure she's fully aware of that in the Discord. Join the Discord. Definitely join the Discord if you would.
A trucking company only has 1 or 2 trucks. They just can't help them enough right, on enough shipments and have enough capacity for them to cut checks and account for that and to reconcile those, right? Yep. So there's more reasons, but the big takeaway is like this changes.
Oh, the phones are on too.
His number 856-600-4654, Sage Outcast.
Okay.
And the first indicator that is changing is your ability to cover your own freight. So where I always start with brokers that have a book of business, and we're talking about this, is I'm like, how does your book look? And right now in the past month, this is a great example because everyone I've talked to is like, I have this customer, they're sending me 5-6 loads a day. I can't get their loads covered or at their rate. Rates are going up. There's a lot of pressure. They want me to stay at $5,000 where I was at all year last year on this lane, but now this lane's 6,300. Well, shippers are always going to try to keep rates where they were because their boss is like, we don't want to pay any more than last year.
Yes. Realize that shippers, the job of the traffic manager is twofold. Fold A, usually, make sure that the shipment gets out and gets picked up and delivered on time. And two, make sure that they maintain consistency in the pricing the best they can. Consistency, that's why Trump's tariffs are so bad. There's no consistency. Even if you were to say we're going to put a 10% tariff on everybody, at least that would be consistent. There's no consistency, which makes it very difficult for businesses to plan when there's no consistency.
But the broker's looking at the market going, well, hey, there isn't a truck that's going to take your freight for $5,000 when every other shipper in your city is paying trucks $6,300. So it's not us. It's the other companies that are looking for the same asset on the same day as you in your area, willing to pay more than you're willing to. So you're not going to get one. Now, shippers are going to keep.
Now, that may or may not be true. Now, that's kind of a big gap. So I might not be able to win 6,300 from 5,000, but I might be able to get 58 if I have a carrier who's been working with me for a long period of time and 58 works and they can load it on Monday and deliver it on Thursday rather than load it on Wednesday and deliver it on Monday and sit on it. If they can pick up next week rather than this week. I mean, these are options that a good logistics provider might have to do for that customer, because rather than just say 63, take it or leave it, saying, well, I've got some options for you, but we might have to tweak the shipment a little bit, meaning when we're going to ship. Is that possible? And if they say, well, it depends on how much we save, okay, let me see what I can do. And I might be able to come back at 58 or 55, although it's not 60, it's not 5, it's also not 62. And these are the things that good logistics providers are doing by working with carriers that they've treated right for, like I've had the same carriers for, I think my shortest is 5 years. You know what I mean? Most of them, I mean, I'm getting a couple new ones, but most of my go-to carriers are 100%. 12 years on one of my carriers.
Arguing with their brokers. And
12 or 13 years, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Try to make that work. And eventually, they're going to have to pay what the market is going to tell them, right? Well, that same problem you have moving your customer's freight today or this week or last week or this month is the same thing happening to every other shipper in that market that ships that lane. Yep. So the problem in your right hand becomes an opportunity in your left hand, which is prospecting. The harder it is for you to get your customer's freight moved, the tighter the market is, the more rate pressure there is, or the less trucks there are, the more likely the phone call you make to a shipper in that same city is running into the same problem with their brokers, because we all access the same market. It's all the same market, right? Yep. So these things that seem terrible.
Yes and no, it's all the same market. Like I might have access to trucks that I've been working with for a long period of time that are going to stay with me rather than take the load from a TQL. Because they've just been working with me longer. I built that rapport with that carrier. So they're not going to take the same load for a TQL when they can get it from me, right? So it's not always the same.
End up being really beneficial and huge opportunities for the other aspect of your job, right? Which I don't think most people just inherently connect.
Yeah, and you brought up a pretty good point there that I want to expand on, is that one of the ways that you can really build rapport and gain trust with a customer is to very clearly let them know, not that like you are the almighty, I'm going to get you a truck, it's going to be the greatest truck, and it's going to be the cheapest truck. What your job is to get them access to the market. And if you can just level with them and be like, look, here's what we're dealing with capacity-wise. Here are a few options.
Bam! What did I talk about earlier?
That we can look at, right? If it's got to go today, right, the market is wild, we're going to have to pay a premium to be able to secure that capacity.
And that normally what I'll say, explain to them is that we have just like FedEx and UPS and the Postal Service has, they have next day air. They have, nobody really has same day air, but they have next day air. Well, you technically do. Or they have priority, or they have whatever, snail mail version, right? And there's different rates for that next day air compared to that priority, which is compared to that normal mail time, whatever. I don't even know what normal mail is called anymore. Either way, it doesn't matter. And there's different fees for that. And you pay more when you want that next day air. So if we're in a next day ship situation, like it's got to go today, we're at the mercy of the first truck we can find that's willing to do it. Okay? Because that's what you're looking at. Because there's no truck parked outside your window, right, waiting for your freight. We have to pull them in from someplace and get them here ASAP. So this is where a lot of times when I quote freight to customers, and something to think about for anybody that's in the logistics, is I will literally step up and say, hey, my quote is good based on a 5-day notice. That's for my legal freight. You got to give me 5 days that this is going to ship. Now, I'll find you a truck if you don't give me 5 days, but if you want this price right here, I need 5 days notice to get the equipment into the area to be able to get your freight. Okay? That's something that you're going to want to make sure customers know, because customers will call you and say, hey, you quoted $2,000 for this? Yeah, I need it here in an hour. What? You got to hold your price. Wait, what? No, my truck's not around, can't get there in an hour. Okay, well, you're still going to have to do it for $2,000. And then you could have to take a loss, because technically the customer's not going to let you back out of that. Okay? Because you said you could do it, and you didn't put a time frame on how long notice you needed to get there. Now, that whatever that time frame is it could be 3 days, could be 7 days. I mean, for me, there's times that I need 30 days because I got to get superload permits. But let's just stay with legal freight.
If we've got a little bit more time to work on it, we can let things shake out and we can try to find the right truck and spend some time to really work that carrier network and try to get you a more reasonable price. But when you can, even with just 2 options like that, right, you're not telling them that here's my price. You're saying, well, here are some options and here's why these are the options and here's what this means for you. So I think that's a really good way. And a lot of brokers don't do that. Actually, I had this conversation yesterday with somebody about insurance, and they're like, well, what do we do? If the customer,
Hey, if you're watching this, come talk to me about insurance. I'm a licensed insurance agent. Come talk to me. We'll talk all day. Bring me on your show. I'll be respectful. You're recorded, so I'll be respectful, 100%. You don't go live. I go live. You're welcome to come on my show. If you want to come on my show and you want to talk freight, reach out to me. Let's do this, Brutus. Also, not looking for regular, just an interview. Also, what you want to do is what you can't do with a customer is say no. Well, you can if it's something that's illegal, right? You know what I'm saying? But you can't say no to a customer, because they will find someone that will say yes. Even if it's like, well, I want to move this for 50 cents a mile. You can explain to them how that probably won't work. But if you just straight out say, no, I won't do it, they're just going to find somebody who will. Now, the best way to do that, or the best way I've handled that before, is I will say, well, when do we have to move this? Well, we have a week. I will post it, and I will see what I can find for 50 cents a mile, okay? But I don't think I'm going to find anything, but I will at least attempt it. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what I can find. Let me put it out there and see what responses I get. Now, truck drivers call me screaming at me, which I understand, but when I explain to them, look, I have to, this is a teachable moment for my customer, but I have to actually go through with the teachable moment and actually explain to them that I will at least try. I get a lot of truck drivers that be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, now I'll say to them, what is your price? And I will go back to them, because I need to be able to go back to them with prices showing that 50 cents a mile ain't going to get it done. Okay? I do appreciate everybody being in here. Do me a favor, hit the like button. That'd be great. But what you want to do is put the ball back in their court and make them a better shipper or manufacturer or whatever you want to call them. Make them a better customer. Help them become better at their job, because they understand your job and you understand their job.
Sometimes my customer has, loads worth $700,000. And I'm like, well, here are some options.
Okay.
You can go to your customer with these options and let them decide. You can say, all right, we're going to buy an all-risk policy, and it's going to start at $1, cover the entire thing. If there's a claim, you are the beneficiary of it, and it'll settle within 30 days. Here's the price. It's the more expensive option.
Yep, not cheap.
An alternative method, I can find a carrier that's got 100K, and we can go buy a spike policy that's going to cover above 100K. It's going to be a little bit cheaper, but if there's a claim, now we have 2 separate claims to file.
Right, and it can become a fight. It's a little bit harder to get paid. It's not a little bit harder, but definitely harder.
One on this spike policy and one on the carrier.
Oh, God. True. All right, let me do this. Stand by on one here. I will award her conversation. All right, Jenny, go ahead. Unmute your mic. Well, ring when you figure out how to unmute Mike. All right, let's go.
Carrier's policy. The carrier's policy might take 4 months to settle. There's a chance that something could go wrong there. So you could save some money, but there's your added
You do. You got to leave and come back. You got to get out.
risk, and let the customer decide. And let alone right there when we were talking about it, he's like, wow, he goes, if I do that, like I really come across that.
All right, you got permissions now?
There I am.
All right, go ahead.
Helping them be better business partners to their business partners when you're helping them by showing them that those rates don't work.
Yeah, very true. Very true. She's responding to basically a teachable moment for the customer, making them a better business partner is what she was responding to. But she didn't have a mic, and then she didn't know how to get the mic to work, so I had to tell her. That's okay. Continue on. And then, of course, you have to do ring. Why? Because I think it's funny.
As like a huge value add to my customer.
A profession.
Unless you're Justin. Justin doesn't have to do ring. Justin has to enter by doing Deer Calling Championship calls. That's the only time Justin can talk. I swear to God, I love it. It was funny.
Exactly what you should be, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So let's go back to like this example.
Yeah.
I can't cover, I'll just, a Houston to Seattle lane for my customer that I was running all year last year for $5,000. Okay. Can't cover it all. Customers tell me they have more issues. They're really upset. The market's at $6,800 for that lane this month because of the storm and all the other things and the holidays, yada, yada, yada. So they're super frustrated. I'm frustrated. I'm not making commission. I'm not moving their loads. Now let's take that same thing and let's use that to our advantage. So now I look at all the other companies that ship, I don't know, just asparagus, okay, from Houston to Seattle.
Asparagus is great. I love asparagus, to be honest.
And I have a list of 100 companies that all ship that from Houston to Seattle.
Okay.
Now, I've got two approaches. I would say the most common approach for newer salespeople or salespeople that have come from like business to consumer sales is, hi, this is Benjamin Kowalski. I work with XYZ. I'm really good at moving reefer freight. I'm really good at moving dry van freight. I can handle your drayage. Maybe you're international, and we have the best service. Do you have any
Wrong. But let's see what he does.
loads that I can move for you today? Okay. So first off, and this is the thing.
That's not commercial trucking best. Let's
Analogy I always kind of use. We were talking about off air, but I do this in most trainings. So I'm like, I ask people before I start any of these, I'm like, how do you open your calls? And the most common for newer folks is they say their name, who they're working for, and what they're good at, and then ask for something. Okay. Now, the thing that I always do is like, I want people to learn this, not to just lecture them, which you and I talk about in a lot of the trainings we do. It's like engaging people to get them to think about this. And like the first thing I'll always ask is, when you get a phone call from anybody you know or anybody that you actually engage in a conversation with, do any of those people ever say who they are and where they're calling from?
Nope. Only my callers don't even do that. Exactly. I'm gonna go over my technique. One of my techniques I have when I would call for insurance, because sometimes we had to cold call for insurance, and I did this live in the Discord and to prove it. So this isn't something I'm just making up now. I did this. So one of the first things I do when I call for insurance, for cold calling insurance, is I'll say something like, it's you do a robo thing and somebody answers. So let's say somebody answers, and a lot of times I can be like, John's Hot Shots. Okay, or John, or some, whatever it is, right? Because hot shot is an open deck. That's the type of freight I also move. So the first thing I'll say is, I'm like, hey, you still taking? Hey, they'll answer, blah blah blah. I'm like, hey, are you still taking quotes? And they get confused. They're like, what? Because it's a question that you get, but it's twofold. One, are you still taking quotes? Remember, they're in trucking. So I could be asking them if they're taking quotes to bid on freight. Okay, so that it might be it might be an opportunity for them to bid on freight. So my question is, are you still taking quotes? And when they're like, yeah, no, or they'll say no, either way. But then I'll immediately jump into something, because now I've at least held their brain for 3 seconds. Okay, it's like TikTok. I've held your brain for 3 seconds. My next approach is to kind of say, hey, well, yeah, I was just wondering if you were still taking insurance quotes, because I see you're a hot shot, and I also specialize as a logistics company on hot shot freight and over-dimensional freight, and that's one of the things I've been specializing in for over 17 years. But I'm also a licensed insurance agent, so I was just wondering if you were still taking insurance quotes and who are you working with insurance. And then they'll be like, oh, the insurance aspect. No, no, I'm not. I'm good. Well, can I ask you a couple other questions in regards to the type of equipment you have? Because like I said, I'm a logistics provider who specializes in this equipment. I have freight coming out of blah, 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 Texas and stuff. So, and then I get them talking about their trucks. Once I can get a truck driver talking about your truck, we're going to have a conversation. If we're going to have a conversation, I'm going to build a rapport with you. I'm going to build that comfort with you. And then eventually I'm going to start to educate you if I can, if there's any questions you have. Like, I'm like, well, if you have any questions for me while I've got you on the phone, either insurance related or freight related, let me know. I'll answer the questions for you. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'd rather leave here, you saving my number, that if you need questions or need something in the future, you've saved my number, knowing that I'll answer these questions. Got him. I got him because I'm a guy in the industry who knows the industry, who wants to help, right? And my goal is now winning your insurance bid might also help me, but it might also help you, okay? By either giving you a better insurance policy with better coverages or cheaper rate, or understanding, the coverages that you do have or you don't have, or the company you're with or that you're not with, and understanding this, understanding, you might be confused in regards to why this insurance company can get everything done so quick, but this insurance company takes a week to get things changed. And I can explain that. So that's my approach to in regards to that. And I really want to build a relationship and have conversations with people because I really do want to help them. I want to see what he does with shippers, though, before I tell you what I do with shippers.
My answer is always.
Or manufacturers.
No. Like, okay. Well, when somebody does call you and you don't recognize the number and they say their name and where they work, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
Sales call, spam call, gotta go.
Like, oh, they're trying to sell me something.
Trying to sell me something.
Yep.
And then I go, what do you do right after you realize that or hear that?
Hang up, disconnect, I gotta go, make an excuse.
The moment you hear that.
Try to get them off the phone. Or just hang up.
Right.
I did that yesterday with somebody. Yeah.
Exactly. Which is an objection. Okay. So most people want to know, how do I handle the objection after I get it? But the truth is, it's better to avoid the objection in the first place than to try to handle it after you get it.
True.
The best way to handle objections is to just get less of them. Like, that's step one.
100%.
So if everybody that calls
better conversion
you and says their name and who they work for, you make them go away. Let's not sound like the people that you want to go away, and just at least change the perception and the way they're going to hear you in their first interaction with you.
Let me hop in here too. So right. Are
you guys gonna role play one? You little bastards! Come on, let's go. I mean, you fine gentlemen providing tons of information as I'm trying to be nicer.
Like I mentioned the conversation I had with somebody.
Yeah.
I had another person that I talked with last week. Similar conversation. 2 different people. One's a guy, one's a girl.
This is actually good information. This is actually a good episode. And they usually do some good episodes. Sometimes it's a little bit... Sorry, guys, but it is. We got to liven this up a little bit sometimes. We got to go a little Sage Outcast-ish. Well, don't go too Sage Outcast-ish because then you get banned from everything. But either way.
One has more experience. One has less experience. One has a very vibrant tone of voice and is very energetic. The other one is a little bit more, I don't want to say monotone, but like a more moderate speaking pace.
Yeah.
And that's why I've told both of them, and I've told people this. I tell them all the time is like, you have to find the best way to use your personality and your voice effectively in a call, and
that's what I do. Listen, every phone call to me is just another YouTube episode. To be honest, it just is. It's just who I am. I enjoy the job that I'm doing. I enjoy it, and that's how I make every phone call.
To be different for every single person.
Yes.
Right. And that's why people are like, well, do you have a script? And it's like, yeah, you can find a script. But if 2 people that are 2 different personalities read the same script, one might sound great and the other one might sound just super awkward, right?
So here's the way I usually kind of explain this. I'm like, you basically have 3, call it variables, or 3 things that come into play when you call somebody. You have what you say, right? You have your rate of speech, how fast or slow you speak. I can either speak like this, or I can speak really slow at the same tone of voice.
No, you can't speak either way. That wasn't any difference in speed.
And then you have tone, pitch.
Ring, ring.
Okay.
Is that how we do it?
Yeah,
I was just going to say, when at previous agencies that I've worked at, they've had the script or the pain funnel or whatever you want to call it that we have to go down for collections. And then they would have practice ones online that other people had done and they recorded.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, if you listen to people reading the script, you can tell they're reading the script. It's better to go in just with your knowledge and talking to somebody like you would talk to a normal human being than to read a script, because you sound so robotic if you read a script.
Yeah, that's true. That works. Perfect.
high, low, right? Just like an instrument. How fast are you playing? How high, how low, and what notes you're playing, right? It's the same thing with your voice. So to your point, like you can have the same song played by two people. One sounds really good, one sounds really poor, and then someone can play those same notes differently with different pitch and rate of speed, and it sounds different. It's the same thing with your voice, right? So I always start with what you're saying, and then let people just intuitively or instinctively find their pitch and rate of speech, how fast or slow, how high or low, based on the feedback they're getting in the phone calls. This is why it's so important.
Absolutely. You got to be able to read that phone call.
To practice this, not just in front of a mirror, but on a phone call. Because
I call it code switching, to be honest, but it's not just code switching. It's actually pace and monotone and everything.
Because when a person like pushes you away or you feel the friction where like it's not connecting, your brain realizes this like instinctively before you actually know why it worked or didn't work. So like you learn really quick when you keep making phone calls of like, when I talk like this, I keep getting people pushing me away and hanging up on me. So then you just instinctively bring it down. And then you just
ring.
Ring. Narc.
This is fucking boring.
Listen, I don't care. I'm trying to be educational in the freight industry, and sometimes the freight industry in itself is boring. Would you like to go back to the deer calling championships?
No, can we talk about fucking Trump or something?
Can we talk about Trump?
Like how good he is?
Well, that's Wednesday. Wednesday is the positive Trump talks. Yeah, we do that on Wednesdays.
You know Trump takes tips on overtime? Everybody doesn't know.
Yeah, no tax on overtime. No tax on overtime is what we do.
That's what I meant. Tips and
no tax on tips and overtime. Those are the Wednesdays. You have to come back on Wednesdays. You're the Wednesday show person. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll struggle through this.
I'll try. Struggle through this and keep us up to date in the chat because you're a moderator in the chat. So I just let you handle the chat. All right.
Can we do more box truck content then if we continue this?
Well, maybe down the road. Yeah, maybe down the road.
Yeah.
We can do the box
let's
truck.
do it down the road. Let's
Cargo
plan a
van.
box truck.
And giggers, which was invented by Justin, invented the word gigger. Justin did that.
Giggers. With a hard G.
Hard G.
A hard
the gigger community is the community based on. Well, you know what's funny too? I did watch some of the video yesterday, and the one gigger guy that goes to the stores, that goes to get and shops and everything, he was actually profitable, and I might actually cover him in a show because somebody else was saying he wasn't profitable. But he actually looked like he was doing it profitable, so I'd like to actually do a breakdown and see how he's doing it in Alabama. I did watch that. I mean, I might take a look at that. Anyways. But that being said, maybe that'll be Tuesday. Maybe we'll do that Tuesday. That'd be Tuesday. All right, back to the championships. No, we're not doing We're not doing that championships. All right, back to the Middle American logistics.
Based on how much pain and resistance you get from the other person. So like I always start with like, come up with like what you want to say, write it down for yourself, and then just do this a couple hundred times, which is like 2 days. You will fall into what works with your personality, to your point, right?
Yeah. Let me add in here too. I think about some of the best brokers we've got in our company, and when I personally have a conversation with them, it's a fun conversation. Like I feel like you're reviving with them. We kind of match each other's personalities and everything.
It's
and
like
I think that's both of us doing a good job at matching the other when it matters the most. And then I look at people who struggle, and oftentimes I'm like, yeah, it's like hard to have a conversation with them. And sometimes what you need to work on is not what to say. It's just really just how to speak overall more comfortably and more effectively. Like I used to work with a sales guy in retail that he literally was just his voice was so annoying, and I feel bad like saying that, but the reality is we all learn how to adapt and change the way that we handle certain things and the way that we talk in certain situations, or at least we can change that. And that might be something that you need to do when you're new into brokerage, is to just work on, like you said, 200 times, work on that, right? And you'll fine tune it. We always call it like find your voice, right?
Yep. Now, to like the other thing that I think on this topic that is really important and often overlooked, right?
He didn't. I wonder if he does. Are you going to do an example of your call? Probably not. How much time we got left here? Let me check here. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Is listening. Everyone wants to focus on what they're saying and how they're going to convince the other person to do what they want. But a conversation is me speaking, you listening, hearing, understanding what I say, and then responding in a way that makes sense.
Because the biggest thing I need them to do is I need to ask them questions. It's like an interview. They don't listen. I'm calling because I probably know I have some type of brokerage and freight and stuff and things like that. They don't need to hear about me. I need to hear about them. So if I'm going to call in, let's say I do get past the gatekeeper, which I'm not going to give that secret away yet, but I have ways to get past the gatekeeper. I get past the gatekeeper. I might say something like, leave a voicemail or something like that. Hey, this is Sage. I'm a logistics specialist. I was just kind of wondering some of the what issues you're having right now, or which lanes you're having problems with, or what logistical issues are you having with overall that might be something that you need fixed, something like that effect, right? I'm not giving the thing away. And a lot of times I want them to tell me about their logistical things, their problems, their situations. And, you got a minute for a conversation? I just want to kind of see if I can benefit you either through my, value through my knowledge, or I can, help possibly hear some of the issues. And a lot of times I'll get problems that they're having with a broker, but I might not be able to help them with this one or this load in any way, shape, or form, but I will tell them how to handle that broker. Right? I will tell them that, hey, they have a carrier. Well, they have a carrier that they did this, and we hired them direct. And I might say something like, well, are you familiar with, Carrier 411? Are you familiar with a freight car? I mean, if these guys took it for this price and they did something that is freight guardable, right? I might say, well, you have an option to use that in your power. Like a shipper can use a carrier, a freight guard situation. You might want to present that to them saying, hey, we have access to a Carrier 411, and, per our contract, you agreed to do this, this, this. Now you're holding load hostage, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go ahead and we would have to put a freight guard on you to be able to do this. And I'll explain that just that threat might at least get them to, ease the negotiation of whatever the problem is, that you might not actually have to do it, or you might actually have to do it. And a lot of times shippers or carriers might not know about that system at all. And that's just me telling them something in the industry, which now the next time this happens, they're sending me quotes because I might help them better a situation that they were in with a bad carrier. And usually if it's a bad carrier, I got you. Because I can help solve a bad carrier's problems or explain, how to check this stuff in the future. A lot of times they're just like, you know what? I don't want to check it in the future. You check it in the future. I'll send you the quotes. Okay.
That's why conversations flow, right? The two types of listening, right? You can listen to respond and listen to understand. And everybody at some point can remember listening to respond. It's when I'm so excited to tell you something that while you're talking, all I'm thinking about is what I'm going to say next.
And we see this with mega quotes, right? We see this all the time. Like, I listen to understand. A lot of other people listen just to respond. And we see this when I do my Wednesday shows. Like, I'm like, that's not what I said. That's not what I asked you. That wasn't even what did I say? Repeat back to me what I just said 10 seconds ago. We see this with Goldfish. And he can't. He can't. Because people don't listen to understand what they're saying. I do. And you should train yourself to do that.
And I didn't hear a damn thing you said, what you meant, your tone of voice, where you're coming from, none of it. I'm just waiting for you to stop so that I can say what I want. A really good place where you see this a lot is in like political arguments between two different people from two different sides. Yeah. Neither one is hearing anything the other one's saying. They're just waiting to make their next point. And that's not a conversation. Those things aren't flowing. Nobody's getting to know each other. Nobody's learning anything. And that's not really a back and forth, right? So listening to understand, right? There's a really simple tip I used a long time ago to practice this. And the other thing I would add is like, it's really important to practice this, not just on sales calls. Like, do this all day with everybody you know.
Yes. Jesus Christ, just listen to my show.
You will get so much better at it so much faster. And guess what? Like, the other thing I'll do with people is I'm like, think about when you're upset and the first person that comes to your mind that you would call when you're upset about anything, right? Does that person talk most of the time, or are they a really good listener? And everybody will say, when I'm upset, I call this person because they're a really good listener. I'm like, that person literally could say nothing for 40 minutes. You could talk the whole time, get off the phone.
Well, every time I talk to Michael Johnson, Michael Johnson's a very good listener. Michael Johnson from Past Time from a Change. Just watch his TikTok videos and you'll be able to tell. You'll be able to tell.
Feel better and feel like that person
makes me feel better when I talk to him. Now, it's kind of for the wrong reasons, but either way, I feel better.
Was there for you, right?
Yeah.
That is like active listening. That's what connects us to other people, right?
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to go to that extreme, but like a really good tip to practice this is count to 3 every time there's a transition in the conversation. So as soon as you're done talking, go in your head, 1, 2, 3, then respond. First, it will
be careful with that, because I know a couple people that have come on my show that probably don't know how to count to 3. By the time they get to 3, they're going to completely forget the conversation that we were just having. Just completely forget it. Don't even remember it. Right, Goldfish? Are you here, Goldfish?
will stop you from just responding without thinking.
Yeah.
The second thing is you'll be shocked that the other person will keep talking sometimes when you give them that space.
True.
And in a prospecting call, like I've done this and had people tell me literally everything I've needed to know without even asking a question.
Correct. I just let them keep talking. The more they talk, the less I talk, we're winning.
Like they just kept filling that silence, because silence is also a really powerful tool in sales. Like if I just say nothing, most people will talk because silence makes them uncomfortable. And you can use that silence to help keep the conversation going, right? So just practicing listening to hear, not just, because just like you have 3 tools, if you will, like what you say, how fast you say it, and your tone, so does the other person, right? So when you give yourself that space, that few moments between them stopping talking and you talking, you are now starting to process, does this person seem frustrated? Do they seem at ease? Do they seem comfortable talking to me? Or do they seem like they need to get off the phone? And that's all the other information you get in a verbal interaction that you never get in a text message or any written communication.
Yeah.
That's the other 90% we lose when we don't talk to other human beings, right? So like just those things alone are going to help you a ton. But I'm going to loop this all the way back into the other thing. Okay. So that example, I've got Houston to Seattle, asparagus.
Yeah.
I can't cover my customers' loads.
Okay.
So people are like, well, what do I say when I call somebody though? Right? Like, what am I going to open my call with if I don't say who I am and what I'm good at and what I can help them with, right?
Okay.
You start with the problem you had with your other customer. So now I'm calling Nate, who ships asparagus from Houston to Seattle. Or at least I know he's in Houston and he has the same commodity, so he probably ships it up there. It's at least a good likelihood, right? My opening to Nate is going to be, I'm literally just going, as soon as he picks up the phone, hey, Nate, I was just reaching out because like a bunch of my other customers, specifically XYZ Produce, I know they do a lot of asparagus out of your area. They've been having a hell of a time getting capacity up to Seattle, at least the number of trucks they need. And I know the rates have been an issue. Look, that's my opening. Like just that right there. I'm literally just saying your name and telling you the thing and who's experiencing the problem, because that does so many things. One, it's not me telling Nate, I have other customers and I'm good at this job. I showed Nate that by explaining a problem he likely has that I'm experiencing with somebody he probably knows. He also knows that I'm moving freight, so I'm at least decent at my job. And I'm good enough at my job to recognize these problems and recognize them well enough to know that if I tell you, it might be helpful for you. So it's literally like showing somebody a resume without bragging and also adding value, right? Because my next objective after avoiding sounding like a salesperson and making you give me an objection is I've got to get to what's in it for you as fast as humanly possible. I just interrupted
100% true.
your day. If I don't get to what's in it for you, you're going to give me an objection. Or just tell me you're not working with anybody, or tell me you got to go, or a whole host of other objections to make me go away, right? Like that is like step 1 and 2. Don't give them a reason to give you an objection. And 2, get to something that at least could be helpful to the person you called, right?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And I want to add this in too. And you had me thinking.
Hang on, I have some freight delivering, so my wife's handling the call right now, and I just had to shoot her a quick text to make sure.
About it earlier is when you're talking with a prospective new customer, and I've had this happen where like before the call, I'm like, yeah, everything looks like it's a great opportunity here. And I get on the phone and the person is just like either a hard egg to crack or like, I just don't click with them. And it feels like a lot of work to have the conversation. My personal preference is just to move on. When there are hundreds of thousands of opportunities out there, I'm not going to waste a lot of mental calories or get stressed over having a heavy lift phone call. Just like if it just feels hard to have the conversation, no thank you. There's too many other options out there. I wanted to point that out.
I agree. I will add a caveat, right? We are dealing with people and like everybody has good days and bad days, right? So like I typically, and it has to be a company. It has to be a company I want to work with for some other reason, not just a random phone number is the first thing, right? So like if I know you ship asparagus on the same lane and I know you have enough volume and I know other carriers and other customers have told me about you and it could be a good fit, then what I'll do is like, I'll call you back in 3 or 4 days at a different time of day and see if I get the same thing. And if it's like pulling teeth the second time, I'll probably call another person at your company and then see how that one goes before I scrap it. Maybe a third time if I really want to work with you. And if
yes, sometimes you got to know when to walk away. You got to know when to hold them. Know when to walk away. How's the song go? Who's the whatever. Whatever. That's what you got to know how to do.
If I get it 2 or 3 times where I confirm it's just no way that I'm going to be able to connect.
Know when to fold them.
With you, I'm going to try to reach someone else in the company or move on, to your point, right? Because everybody knows when they're frustrated, they don't sound the way they normally do versus when they're in a good mood, right? So like, I at least verify more than once that it's not just a bad day or time of day before I go, this person's not worth connecting with or doesn't have the ability to connect with. Now, the thing that I want to go back to is like, okay, so I call you, hey, and I just literally start the conversation. And then I go, right after I say, Nate, look, hey, I know you guys move a lot of asparagus. One of my other companies is literally right up the road from you. They ship a ton up to Seattle. I don't know if you guys are running into this, but they're having a hell of a time getting capacity up into the Northwest. Rates are going up and there's just a lot less trucks, specifically with the weather. Now, as soon as I get to what's in it for you, right, which at the very least usually gets you to at least give me a moment where you pay attention to me. That's all I'm trying to get, a window. Crack that door where you at least for a moment stop reading the email you were reading or stop doing the thing you were doing to just glance or look at the phone. I'm like, okay. Because if I can get you there, it's like the nibble on a fishing line, right? Like, I don't have the hook set yet, but I have you there.
All right, listen, I have reached my 10 o'clock area, and I have to end here. But I do appreciate everybody being here, and I hope that this is, if you're in the trucking industry and logistics industry, I do hope you're reaching a beneficial aspect of this. I do want to end by giving you the sounds of the deer calling championship. So, I don't know who your favorite competitor is, but I hope that if you do have your favorite competitor in the deer calling championship, that I hope your competitor won. I really am. That being said, this reminds me of Cody, so I'm gonna go ahead and exit here. See ya.
Hello, Sage. This is Cody. Or wait a minute. Is my name Cody or Colby? I'm not really sure. So I will, there in fact, internally, hang on a second. God damn it. I'm trying to, wait a minute. I think your name might be Sully. I don't fucking know what your goddamn real name is. Alright, give me a call back. Wait a minute. Sage. I'm sorry. Please don't record this.
I forgive you. I forgive Cody. See you guys next Tuesday. Take that or leave it.